Hello and welcome to Business Insight. I'm Adesua Iramosele. Right here on Business Insight, we discuss business as well as economic development, which is our core here at Souk News. And today is not going to be any different. We'll be talking about business with regards to consumer behavior in the automotive industry. Before we delve into what we have for today, we will join Alfreda with the news update. Stay with us.
Thank you, Adesua. A beautiful afternoon to you and welcome to Business Insight. I am Alfreda Ambebasi, bringing you the latest updates from the world of business. Governors from the Northwest region of Nigeria are seeking support from African Development Bank Group, AFDB, to address agricultural challenges. Led by Katsina State Governor Dikko Rada, raises issues like limited irrigation, low productivity, and unemployment contributing to food insecurity. Governor Rada stresses shared challenges and the need for concerted efforts to achieve sustainable growth in the region. The Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, Hadiza Sabuwa Balarabe, on the other hand, expressed hope, stating that special agro-industrial processing zones could solve problems and boost economic growth. Speaking to the critical role of agriculture in zone's economy, Governor of Kebbi State, Nasiru Idris, expressed the need for strategic partnerships and commitments to initiatives like the Desert to Power program. In response to President of the AFDB, Akinwumi Adesina, noted their commitment to supporting Nigeria in addressing key issues. He highlighted the importance of renewable energy and strategic partnerships that the AFDB plans a $1 billion investment in expanding special agro-processing zones across the country. And now the United Arab Emirates has granted approval for Nigeria's Air Peace to operate direct flights to Dubai, and Emirates Airline will also resume operations in Nigeria after a halt due to challenges in repatriating funds. This announcement was made by the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, at the end of the 2023 Dubai Air Show. The minister discussed these developments during the air show and explored potential collaborations, including Air Peace meeting with executives interested in establishing an MRO facility in Nigeria. He explored innovations and technologies at the event to support Nigeria's aviation industry's 5-point agenda. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has pledged $4.4 billion for the Africa-EU Green Energy Initiative at the G20 Compact and with Africa Investment Summit. The funding will extend through 2030, supporting the initiative to enhance energy accessibility in Africa, as Germany plans to import a significant portion of green hydrogen from Africa, emphasizing mutual benefits. Scholz called on African nations to accelerate the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, emphasizing key components such as promoting energy efficiency, instituting regulatory reforms for private investments, and establishing an integrated energy market. In Nigeria, a financing agreement seeks to propel renewable energy projects forward, accompanied by a Youth in Agribusiness program. The recent second German-Nigerian symposium underscored the potential of green hydrogen and stressed the essential role of data-driven planning in the country's ongoing energy transition. And away from that, McDonald's has announced its intention to acquire Kalai's 28% stake in the partnership managing its business in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. This move is part of McDonald's strategy to simplify its structure in the region. Following the deal, McDonald's holdings will increase to 48%, while a consortium led by CITIC Limited will maintain a controlling ownership with a 52% stake. This decision aligns with McDonald's focus on China's long-term potential. The move comes 6 years after McDonald's sold 80% of its China and Hong Kong businesses to CITIC Limited, CITIC Capital, and Kalai for up to $2.1 billion. Stocks, commodity, and market trends comes next after this break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. At the end of Monday's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, NGX, a total of 358,445,972 shares were traded in 6,551 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4,357,811,327 naira and 8 kobo were traded. Compared with the previous NGX trading day, which was Friday, Monday's data shows a 19% decline in volume, 28% decline in turnover, but an 11% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 39.1 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 119 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 36 gainers and 15 losers. Make Your Industries led the gainers with 9.95% share price appreciation, closing at 6.30 naira per share, followed by Multiverse Mining and Exploration, Associated Bus Company, and C&I Leasing. On the losing side, RT Briscoe came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.84% at 55 kobo per share, followed by Prestige Assurance Company, Stanbic IBTC Holdings, and Computer Warehouse Group. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 27.6 million traded shares, followed by ICO Insurance, Universal Insurance Company, and Japo Gold and Ventures. And at the end of Monday's trading on the Lusaka Securities Exchange, LUSE, a total of 37,203 shares were traded in 59 deals, corresponding to a market value of 240,085 kwacha and 77 ngui were traded. Compared with the previous LUSE trading day, which was Friday, Monday's data shows a 607% improvement in volume, 529% improvement in turnover, and 31% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Lusaka Securities Exchange is 89.2 billion kwacha. In the aggregate, 6 LUSE listed equities participated in trading, ending with only one gainer, namely Real Estate Investments Zambia, with 2.68% share price appreciation. Standard Chartered Bank recorded the highest volume of 13,979 traded shares, followed by Copperbelt Energy Corporation, Zambif Products and Real Estate Investments Zambia. And now in the commodity market, the current price for 1 unit of wheat is 551.25 US cents. Gold is trading at 1,972.39 US dollars. Silver at 23.52 US dollars, copper at 3.75 US dollars, and Brent crude oil is valued at 82.74 US dollars per barrel. And that's it for us on Business News this afternoon. Adesua Romosele is waiting to walk you through the next phase of Business Insight. I am Afreta Ambe Basi. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome back. It's still Business Insight. Many thanks to you, Alfrata, for that insightful news update. Like I said before we went on that break, we'll be talking on consumer behavior in the automotive industry. Yes, when we talk about consumer behavior, we are referring to the actions, preferences, as well as decision-making processes of an individual. Basically, we're talking about what are the things that go through the mind of a potential customer, of a vehicle here in Nigeria. What are the things you actually look out for? What are the factors you look out for before you purchase a vehicle? And of course, consumer behavior plays a role in the adoption of new technologies in the automotive industry. As technology continues to advance, consumers are increasingly interested in features like electric vehicles, autonomous driving, and connective options. So basically, you have to consider some factors generally. You just have to consider some factors before going for a particular or a specific vehicle. And to discuss this topic, we have Mr. Sam Orowuje, who is a public affairs analyst and is just going to be talking to us, just having a discussion with us concerning this particular topic. Good afternoon, Mr. Sam.
Good afternoon, Adesua. Thank you for having me.
Very well. Many thanks for joining us. So, Mr. Sam, let me ask you this first. Do you have a car? Do you have a vehicle?
I think so. I think so.
Okay, I can't really hear you in the studio, but I believe the answer is yes. If yes, what were the specific criteria?
I think so that I have a car.
In the purchase of your vehicle?
It has to do with reliability. That's number one preference, reliability, in terms of engine performance and in terms of the aesthetics of the car.
All right. In a country like Nigeria, because we have a whole lot of issues here in Nigeria. We have road challenges and so many other factors. What would you advise someone looking to get a car? What are the factors you think they should look out for in order to get a specific, vehicle for our roads here in Nigeria?
I think one of the principal buying decisions has to do with pricing. Pricing is very critical in terms of buying decision. So your preference is essentially driven by pricing. Earlier, I talked about reliability, functionality of the car, and your usual preference in terms of the brand. Since it's a business program, we'll not be able to mention specific brand so that we don't have some marketing claims on us.
Okay. On social media, we hear about celebrities who order for their cars from the Western world, and have them imported into Nigeria specifically. What is causing this? Is it that we don't have the availability of some kind of cars here in Nigeria? What do you think is the reason for having to go all the way? Or is it a problem with our importation process? What do you have to say to that?
I think generally we have preference for foreign goods as a country, essentially for those who are in the entertainment industry have preference for specific cars which are not manufactured in Nigeria in particular. So, but we have a preference for imported items. And I think in terms of cars, our penetration in terms of manufacturing is still very low compared to the global north.
Glad you mentioned manufacturing, because we have some companies like Innosons, for instance, who are said to be car manufacturers here in Nigeria. But of course, recently I've also heard that they only assemble cars. They no longer actually manufacture cars. Why do you think this is? Why can't we have a structure where cars can actually be manufactured here in Nigeria. I mean, take for instance our transportation system, in that like buses, commercial buses, tricycles and all of that used for transportation of people and all of that. Can't we have a structure that encourages the manufacturing of such vehicles here in Nigeria so we don't have to import?
I think the challenge has to do with infrastructure. The technical infrastructure that are required in terms of manufacturing of cars are not really readily available. But then the few that have the components to assemble the cars, like the one you just mentioned a short while ago, must be encouraged locally so that they can improve even from assembly to manufacturing. But the key component in terms of other infrastructure that support the manufacturing of the cars are not really available. Therefore, for us to improve on the automotive industry, there's a need to encourage infrastructure in that sector so that more investment can come in. In the time past, we have Peugeot Automobile, Alumaco. They were key manufacturing car business in Nigeria, but somehow over time, the local environment could not sustain those businesses and they went under. So I think it is a role of responsibility of the government to encourage infrastructure that can support the automotive industry. I remember in 2014, in particular, the Jonathan government signed an automotive policy that should encourage local manufacturing and assemblage. But then if you look at the preference for foreign goods, then some of the industry that equally assemble and you don't patronize them, it becomes a problem for them to stay in business.
Okay. Of course, you also said earlier, you spoke about factors by which customers actually go for specific cars in Nigeria. So I would like for you to shed more light on that. Speak to trust and reputation. What exactly should a car possess, to be attractive to customers here in Nigeria?
I think the key component of that is one, reliability, availability of spare parts, then the ability to be able to have automobile technicians who are able to service those cars. So once the reliability is there, you have the key components of those who can service the car, then the price are reasonably okay, then consumers will have preference for that particular brand. We can't mention brands as we speak.
Of course, we can't actually mention brands, but of course they need to have some specific, some specifications to be able to thrive here in Nigeria. Now let's speak to marketing. I know you are not a car dealer, you are not someone who sells cars, or you are not into the business, but then what would you say the car dealers should do differently? What would you suggest that they do to ensure that they have more cars, especially now in Nigeria? Of course, in Lagos, for instance, we've had issues of we have issues of traffic because of too many cars in Lagos. There was even a time where, like, if you have more than one car or something like that, you can drive your car sometimes in a week and leave it at home and other stuff. But now, because of the fuel, the hike in fuel price, due to the removal of fuel subsidy, we can see now that there are not so many cars on our roads anymore. And of course, that has also reduced the what's it called, how people purchase cars now, because so many people are like, instead of purchasing any car right now, we would wait till all of this is over, till the fuel price is over. I mean, the hike in fuel price is reduced and all of that. Speak to that. Do you think there is anything that can be done by those who sell these cars to ensure that they have more customers?
I think from a marketing perspective or sales perspective, what car dealers can do is to find a way to provide a leasing option where people can pay over a period of time. That will provide some customer traffic into their business. So a leasing arrangement, or they can liaise with asset management companies that can provide loans so that some of those cars can be taken out of their garages. On the other hand, because of the challenge in terms of purchase of car, the government needs to improve on the public transportation so that those who cannot afford some of these cars will have the options of using the public transportation, which is cheaper, more accessible to the average Nigerian.
Okay, so what other factors do you think is the reason for the purchase of cars? Is it for social status? Is it for, because there are some people who actually don't need cars, to be honest. There are people who, you know, probably their workplace is a walking distance from their house. You know, there's almost no need to actually have a car, but they still go out of their way to get a car. Why is that?
Okay, if you look at it from the perspective of consumer buying behavior, we talked about preference earlier. Then you have other variables that inform consumer buying, which you just mentioned. Social status could be one of the factors that influence people to buy a car. So for prestige purposes, that's one of the reasons. Again, if you look at it from the point of perception, which is a psychological factor that shape consumer behavior, those factors again will make people to buy cars. So there are various reasons or factors that shape consumer behavior, and this has to do with automotive buying behavior as well. But what is important is the challenge for the high cost of automotive products is, number one, the foreign exchange regime is very high. So when you bring a car, you put in a car, then by the time you exchange the money, the value at which you can purchase the car become very high. So these are some of the challenges facing that industry. But again, people have their preferences, people have their tastes, people have other variables that shape their buying behavior, and nobody can take this away from individuals. Even organizations are shaped by what kind of preferences that help them in making buying decisions in the marketplace.
Well, Mr. Sam, what would you say is the role of technology in the purchase of cars here in Nigeria? How would you say technology has helped or has enhanced, you know, enhanced the purchase basically of cars in Nigeria? What's your opinion on that?
Do you mean technology in terms of the cars that people purchase, or you mean technology in terms of access to market to make purchases?
You hear me?
Hello, did you get my question?
Okay, I think we lost you there. There's a little bit of network glitch.
I was saying that the question was, when you talk about technology, do you talk about technology in terms of purchase of the car, or you talk about technology in terms of the input into the automotive product? I needed to have a clarification so that I can answer the question in specific terms.
By technology, I mean how technology has been able to open the minds of customers, of potential customers of these cars to a specific product, to a specific kind of car.
IT has enabled the futures in terms of automotive products, particularly cars. So that, again, is sustaining the customer preference for technologically driven cars in the marketplace. So that interest and taste has been heightened by the IT input into the car in terms of the features that you have in those cars, in terms of how you start your engine, in terms of the aesthetics inside the car. So technology is a major enabler in terms of decision making when people want to make a buying decision for the kind of products they want to consume.
Right, Mr. Sam, thank you very much for your input. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Business Insight, and we still have our guest with us, Mr. Sam Orowuje, who is a public affairs analyst, but is our guest on the show today. Mr. Sam, hope you're still with us.
Yes, Adeswa, I'm here with you.
Okay, I really cannot hear you at the studio. I think it's something with the audio, but I'm sure you can hear me.
But I can hear you very well.
Now I'm talking about AI, technology. That's the in thing now. That's what's making the rounds. Everybody is going to that, to that aspect of life. AI is everything. What then is the future of regular cars in Nigeria? Would they be phased out? What's your opinion on it?
Technology is a driver of development. So as we have new technology driven by artificial intelligence, some of the older cars will be phased away, but it will take a long time for you to phase these cars completely. But car manufacturers will continue to deploy engineering techniques to enhance the precision in terms of the cars that they put into the market. But then, with improvement on AI, maybe the customer experience when you buy these cars, we improve tremendously. But I think, in my view, some of these old cars will take some time to be phased away from the market, particularly from the issues of the buying behavior and the purchasing power that we mentioned earlier in this conversation.
Now, the manufacturers of cars are moving from fuel to electric cars. Do you think that's a welcome development? Do you think that is something we should actually have in order to prevent us from having this whole issue with fuel every now and then? Do you think this is a welcome development?
I think it's a welcome development because the way to go is renewable energy, and part of the transition, energy transition mechanism across the globe is to gradually phase away cars that use fossil fuel to green energy. And I think that is where to be. And I think over a period of time, some of these old cars will be phased away. And I think globally, we're looking at 2060 by the time we'll be able to transit to renewable energy fully. But the task ahead, particularly for the global south, Nigeria inclusive, is to what extent can we quickly transit from this hydrocarbon energy to green energy. These are challenges that we need to resolve as a country to be able to move ahead in line with global best practices when it comes to the automotive industry.
Okay, now Nigeria is said to be one of course, one of the poorest nations in the world today, arguably. But cars are still luxury here in Nigeria. In other parts of the world, owning a car is not a big deal, you know. But here in Nigeria, it is still a big deal. If you own a car, means you're doing well for yourself. What do you think about this? Can the government have some kind of structure in which cars can be on lease? You know, at least for a period of time, you have your car, and so that those who are supposedly below average when it comes to finances can have a car without breaking the bank.
I think when it comes to ownership of automotive products, it has to do with personal preference, but then the government can provide an enabling environment to asset management companies by which they can encourage people to do leasing option to get those cars. On the other hand, the government needs to improve on the public transportation system, which will reduce the demand for car. Like you mentioned elsewhere, people rely essentially on the public transportation system. So the need to own car, particularly luxury cars for prestige, does not arise. So we need to strike a balance between private preferences for luxury products, particularly cars. We need to look, on the other hand, how the government can improve in terms of public transportation that will enhance social good, then provide an enabling environment where people can have asset management option to acquire cars through lease or through loan facilities where people can own car and pay for those cars over a period of time. So that will help in terms of people able to acquire cars for their own personal use.
Very well. Many thanks to you, Mr. Sam. I don't know if you have final thoughts you want to share with us with regards to this topic.
No, I think consumer behavior is essentially driven by individual preferences, shaped by other factors that shape buying decision. On the other hand, the government must improve in that sector. There's a policy framework since 2014, the automotive policy. Government needs to rework that document to see how we can bring more investors into that sector so that the cars are manufactured in Nigeria, and that will bring the cost of those cars low so that the average Nigerian can have access then government need to scale up is a social good commitment by providing a public transportation option that the average Nigerian can have access to for mobility.
Thank you so very much. To you, our viewers at home, I'm sure you must have learned one or two things about consumer behavior when it comes to automotive industry, the automotive industry. Many thanks to you, Mr. Sam, for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, Adesua. My pleasure.
And with that, we draw the curtain on Business Insights today. Many thanks for staying with us. Do join us again tomorrow for an even more insightful session. I'm Adesua Iramoseli. Good afternoon.